evening, everybody. Welcome to Research Roadshow. My name is John Wilkins, and this is the Italian job for February 8th. I'm sorry for the late start. I've had my share of technical issues. I know that's not a new thing for our group, but today was particular. It was particularly heavy, the degree to which YouTube and StreamYard gave me a very big headache. But next week, we're going to be moving into the new studio, and hopefully things will be set up much better there. Anyway, to get started, I put up, during the waiting period, I put up a visual of Moderna. I'm sorry, of the company called Moderna. Let me pull that up right now. So Moderna is, as you know, is the leading one of the most discussed companies in America today. It was a very important vaccine developer during the COVID period, which we just went through. And it's going to be on the front pages of many top journals, in print and online journals, over the next few weeks. So where did Moderna get its start, and why is this central to the Italian job? Okay, let's go to a city in Italy called Modena, Modena. Okay, as you can see, Modena is the home of Enzo Ferrari, the famous Ferrari sporting car, and the Ferrari establishment, the Ferrari empire, is essentially headquartered at Modena still today, but it has divisions in New York, Los Angeles, London, and the Netherlands, I think, not too far from the Schiphol airport. And from 2006 to 2008, Ferrari, the civilian part, you know, the cars that are sold in the U.S. were one of my clients when I was with SPX Corp. So I made several trips down to the Ferrari plant there in Modena. Modena is not only the home of Ferrari, okay? It is also the home to several life sciences companies, and in particular to a group of individuals who like to fund life science companies' startups. So my theory is that some of these men who invest in life science startups in Modena, or whose grandfathers came from Modena, created or helped to create the company, the Boston area company called Moderna. They put that RNA at the end because it's a messenger RNA vaccine, quote unquote vaccine. Okay, I've already got 2 strikes from YouTube on my channel, so I have to be careful here. I'm not going to talk in very direct ways. Okay, let's pull it up. Here we have the city of Modena, and I've highlighted the 8 or so Ferrari plants there. And you can see that as you go around the map, and again, Modena is very close to Bologna. This area of Europe has one of the oldest traditions of academics. The University of Bologna goes back to 1103, I think. So knowledge is historically very important. We talk all the time about a knowledge-based society. Well, the Modena group, the Bologna process is a little bit like Common Core in America. right? The Bologna, but it's even more intense. You can look on your favorite search engine for the Bologna process and type in 2008 and Lisbon. Okay, then the people who live, at least at the turn of the century, the people who with power that lived in this area of Italy, they liked using their knowledge for financial gain. And so there has been for over 120 years, there has been a constant uh, demand, a desire to bring in talent from outside of Italy and bring them to these areas, Parma, Ferrara, Modena, Bologna, and let them work on the key scientific and technological developments of the age to then export them. Okay, now between 1975 and 1995, that tapered off quite a bit. And most of the action went to Silicon Valley, Shanghai, etc. But still today, and I repeat, my theory is that the trend, the historical inertia of bringing knowledge to bear and bringing them to not only to automobiles like the Ferrari sport car or to advanced airplanes, but now in the area of life sciences, that tradition remains. There is a gentleman called Luca Cordero de Montezemolo. Let's bring up his photo. All right. Very important figure in everything that George Webb and Mark Kulak are talking about today and yesterday. Very important figure. This gentleman, who was born in Italy, I think, but he has his great great grandparents came from very important families throughout Europe. He is the head of Belt and Road in Italy. His college roommate was none other than Mario Draghi. I'm trying to follow up a lead that says he was frequently in contact with Steve Bannon, Stephen K. Bannon, whose college roommate I interviewed, Jie Chang. Anyway, we'll get to him later. Luca Cordero de Montezemolo was the head of Ferrari up until I think 2011. So he is a major player in the area of Bologna, Modena, Parma, and we will discuss him at length on the next Italian job. I just want to get it out there, get his name out there, because when we talk about Modena and Boston Consulting Group, because I'll show you that he also has strong ties to Boston Consulting Group, whether or not it's a NATO cover, I don't know, but I don't know that for sure. But Luca Cordero is someone we have to start talking about. Let's go to someone who did not agree, who did not see eye to eye with Luca Cordero de Montezemolo. Okay, I'm going to bring up another photo, and this is one of the men that I most respected in Italy or any other part of Europe. His name is Alberto Musi. Alberto Musi was one of the eight men roughly, who convinced me that I had to do what I started to do in 2010. That is to quit my full-time job as a consultant to Fiat, Iveco, Finmeccanica, and Ferrari every once in a while. And I had to do this thing full time, the citizen journalist thing full time. Well, not necessarily citizen journal, but to hit the library, to hit the microfilm, hit the microfiche 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day to find out why things were going so badly and how come a small group of people like Luca Cordero de Montezemolo were getting so wealthy so quickly and the rest of us were getting so poor so quickly. Alberto Musi was assassinated on March 20th of 2012. He was the reason that the reason that he was killed by this group of very powerful individuals was one of two reasons. Because he was investigating the illegal trafficking of human organs, hearts, kidneys, livers, from the area of the war in the Balkans. Okay, and the other issue that he was trying to investigate was that of um, the pedophile rings. There is, and I hate to admit it, there is a big pedophile ring in the hills behind Turin. I know this because, like I said on the second episode of this show, the former maître d'hôtel of Turin's biggest, most important hotel, Principe di Piemonte, knew about some of these cases. He tried to go to the police in Turin, and after that, his life became hell, literally hell. I've never seen a man go from such a high rank in society to such a low rank, practically homeless, and without a friend in such a short period of time. Those are two of the issues. There are three. Those are two of the issues that you're not allowed to talk about, okay? In Europe. If you touch those two, pedophile rings or the trafficking of illegal human organs, your life is going to be very, very difficult. The third one I'll get to next week. But I think I'll let everyone put their guesses in the comments to this video and see who can come up with it first. Maybe I'll offer a $25 Outback gift certificate or a gift card to whoever comes up with the answer first. The third subject that you're not allowed to talk about, because they'll not only cancel your YouTube, they'll not only cancel your Twitter account, they'll outright kill you. All right, now I didn't even blow that up. Alberto Musi, Turin City Council from 2005 roughly to 2010. He ran for mayor of Turin, which is a Freemason stronghold. Let's be clear. And he was very brave. They came to the front of his house, and this is very important. And this goes back to the nuclear bomb. They came to his house at around 8:30 in the morning as he was taking his daughter to school. Right in front of his house, a kid on a motorcycle, on a souped-up 250, comes, stops about 15 feet in front of him, shoots him 6 times, one of which in the head. Alberto doesn't die. He mutters a few words to his wife, who comes screaming out of the house. The daughter is in total shock. He doesn't die right away, and he mumbles some words, and the wife recounts those words to some of his closest friends, okay? Giving some clues as to who might have found him and why did they do it this way. There are 200 different ways they could have gotten rid of Alberto if they just wanted him out of the picture for a while. They could have put him in jail for trumped up charges. They could have put him in poisoned him. Why did they do this with a kid on a motorcycle and a Luger? What is the possible reason? And the only one that we can come up with is that this was a statement. They are trying to make a very public show of their power. They're saying, "We are they whom you do not bleep with. We are they whom thou do not bleep with." So let's go back to Hiroshima. Why was it necessary to drop the bomb on Hiroshima? Because there were other ways they could have firebombed Hiroshima, or Nagasaki, or any other city, the way they firebombed Dresden. Why was it necessary to launch those two bombs? Again, we are they whom thou does not bleep with. And who are they? As an American, that was very difficult for me to accept. It was very hard for me to accept this concept of incredibly powerful figures behind the curtain, or behind the third curtain, or the fourth curtain, that made the big decisions. It was extremely difficult because I believed in a relatively democratic process, and that big decisions were more or less taken upon the will of the people. I mean, the will of the people was reflected in the decisions being made, such as the decision to bomb Hiroshima, the decision to develop the bomb in the first place. I grew up thinking that it was the people who had 99% of the power and the corporations had 1%. This is my 18-year-old mentality, right? It took a long time, of almost 23 years, for my colleagues in Italy to convince me of this very concept of they. For example, you'll never build a engine, a alternative energy device that gives 5 cents per kilowatt hour. I mean, you might come up with it and develop it and prototype it, but you'll never mass market it because they won't allow it. And I said, wait a minute, how is this possible? You put it on the market, people think it's an attractive offer, and they come to your door and buy it. They said, no, they won't allow it. And so, I'm pretty hard-headed on certain areas. And so I kept at it and I kept at it. And you know what? They're right. They won't allow an energy device, whether it's wind or solar or geothermal or tidal energy, and Italy has 6,000 kilometers of coast. So, tidal energy and wave energy would be big. But doggone it, if you want to go below 16 cents per kilowatt hour, they won't allow it. Anyway, let's bring this back to what George was talking about at Kalamazoo. And if you don't know, I forgot to make a slide for this, but I'll put it in the chat. If you have not seen it yet, and if you're American, especially for Americans, if you haven't seen George's speech today in front of the Pfizer plant in Kalamazoo, you really should listen to it. So I'm going to put it here in the chat in just a second. But it is inspiring. And George made several good points, but the one that hit me the most was that their power to do very big, to effect very large scale projects and make it look organic, or certain parts of it organic plus the incompetence of men in Washington and Brussels, is astounding. But it relies heavily on journalists being afraid to do the right thing. It relies on journalists being cutting corners, not telling the whole story. Let me bring up that slide again. The one of Udo Ufcote. If you have not heard the story of Udo Ufcote, please send me an email. I will get back to you right away. I will explain Udo Ufcote's story and why it is central to what George and Mark and Harry the Greek are talking about. Okay, this is not the, I can't remember where I put that file. So I'll bring up a new one. Udo Ufcote was a German journalist, and he was the, up until the time of his death, he was the Walter Cronkite of German journalism, and he was very highly respected. In 2015, Ufcote came out with a book about how the CIA and Mossad pay journalists in Europe to not cover certain stories or to cover them with a certain bent. And that proved to be his downfall. In fact, the minute I saw the book, I told all my colleagues, within a year, this guy is dead. And it took 19 months, but it did eventually. He passed away officially of a heart attack. Let me pull that up. All right, now, okay, so Udo Ufcote made several videos to explain why he wrote the book and to summarize somewhat the book. And the video that remained vivid for me and that reminded me of George today, or what George did in Kalamazoo today, reminded me of this video that Udo Ufcote did, where he's getting angry and saying, "You other journalists, you have to follow my lead. You have to do the right thing, no matter the cost. Even if they put you in jail for 30 years, even if they do terrible things to your kids, you have to do the right thing." Now, those videos are virtually impossible to find. You won't find them on the Wayback Machine. You won't find them anywhere. There are still excerpts of his book in German floating around, and every so often, maybe once a year, I come across one of the videos that he did, but it's immediately, within an hour, it's gone. So remember, everybody, if you see something, save something. That's Mark Kulak's byline. If you see something, save something. Don't wait. In an hour or two, it won't be there. Okay, why am I talking about Udo Ufcote specifically today? Because, as George pointed out in his broadcast earlier, he was on the street corner in front of the new Pfizer factory in Kalamazoo, and you could hear in the background the jackhammers and the welding equipment. You can hear the pace of modern technology, of the modern city, that this is progress. This is so-called progress towards a much brighter and more beautiful world where everyone gets along and all the kids are above average. But there's a small price to pay. The next 40 or 50 years are going to be kind of brutal, especially if you have an IQ less than 140. Life is going to be pretty tough. Now in America, I'm sorry from our European viewers, it's very US centric today, but I think that it's central for citizen journalists in America to realize that they have tremendous power, but they don't have infinite power. We, the people, still, and this is one of the best kept secrets in Washington today and Boston, we still have the power if we want to take it. But we have to have journalists who are very courageous, like Alberto Musi, like Udo Ufcote, who say, whatever happens to me personally or to my family, I am going to do the right thing and get the message out to the people, because if I don't do the right thing, then maybe I'm protecting my family in the short term, but in the long term, what will the world look like for their children, for my great grandchildren? Do we really want a transhumanist based society 100 years from now? Okay, I'm going to stop it there for a minute. Also, because my voice is giving out. The essential point that I want to make tonight is that you have to look at history. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Look at what the big club, remember George Carlin talking about the big club? It's not the communists. It's not the, it's not any one big group. It's a very, very small group of people at the very top. What every mafioso in Sicily, in Sardinia, and in Rome, and in Turin, in Milan, especially Milan, every mafioso knows, responds to the blue suit mafia. The blue suit mafia up in Brussels. And the blue suit mafia responds to somebody else. We cannot just take what one journalist says, one so-called journalist says, and his undercover video, and say, oh, that's okay. Now I know the whole story. That's all I need. I don't have to learn European history. I don't have to know what happened during the French Revolution or between 1815 and 1844. All I need to know is this one undercover video. That's it. Okay. They are very good at spinning a story within a story within a story, a multi-nested loops of logic. That's how they keep you balkanized. That's how the tools that they use to keep us balkanized, even within one demographic. Let's say people in Boston with an income below 50,000. Within that one demographic, they are highly balkanized because of the tools like AlphaGo and reporters like Heather Campoverde, who tell simultaneously CNN Boston and Fox 25 Boston and many other alternative sites what to say about the latest news break. Heather Campoverde is a very, very, very important figure in what will lead to Kalamazoo. Okay, that's it for tonight. Tomorrow night, I hope to do an episode of News Others Miss with the great Harry the Greek. And tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern, we have the Citizens Intel Zoom meeting. If you need a link, send me an email and I'll get it right to you. So that's coming up in about 45 minutes. Thank you, everybody. And tune in for Andy's Live with Andy tonight. I think he's starting at either 8:30 or 9. Uh, but as soon as he's done, come over to our Zoom call. Take care.